everyone, and welcome back to Witchtionery. If you have yet to subscribe to this channel, then please do so because we are getting eerie and spooky all month long. Today I wanted to bring you part 2 of my 10 cards 1 kit using the Love from Lizi super pack called Happy Haunting. This was her September 2018 kit, and as you may already know, I love this kit. I love the aesthetic, I love everything about it, and it's my first kit from Love from Lizi, and I am not at all disappointed. I am kind of like enticed to subscribe to her even though she's kind of out of my budget, but you know what, we're gonna make it work sometimes. For my 7th card of my 10 cards 1 kit, I wanted to do something similar to my first card just because I kind of wanted to see what my panel would look like if I had not actually watercolored in my moon, and if I had just used like a little mask to mask off a circle and then made a moon. So I'm gonna go back in with the same colors I'd been using because they do complement this kit, and they are Shaded Lilac, Seedless Preserves, and Black Soot, Distress inks, and I'm just going to do a bunch of ink blending, trying to go from darkest to lightest, where the lightest is closer to that moon. And I had to kind of go over it a few times because my black soot is giving out on me. I'm pretty sure these cards are to blame. I then sprinkle on some water just because this is a sky and I do want to give this a night sky sort of look. I then start looking at those cutouts that came with the kit, and I was wondering kind of what I was going to do for this panel. I knew definitely that I wanted to use this witch that I had layered those little bits from the cutouts onto, but the little cat just didn't fit there because she's free floating and he would have to be grounded, and I couldn't think of something to ground him. So I ended up going with the little ghost, and I raise her up using some Scotch foam tape, and I use a little bit of faux glitter paper that came with this kit at the bottom just to give a little bit of embellishment onto this card, and I just make sure to adhere that down to a purple card base that came with this kit. She honestly like just gave us everything but the kitchen sink. Whew, man. I also use some of her sticker peel-offs. These sticker peel-offs are very popular for her, and I'm really happy that she has included them in here because they're my first time using them, and I don't know if I can ever go back to not using them or doing something like this now for every single one of my cards. I'm sorry guys, this is my life now, you know? So I go ahead and I raise up my little ghost with some Scotch foam tape, and then once I was done with all of that, I figured it was kind of time to decide on what my sentiment was gonna be and decorate the inside just a little bit. So for my sentiment, I decided to go with Boo Y'all because I thought that's very, very cute. I thought that it goes very well with the ghost. So I just tape that on to the inside of the card, and I also use another strip of the sticker peel thingy-majiggers on the inside. Guys, I'm happy this is not a vocab lesson because, whoo, I would be failing. But yeah, I adhere that to the inside, and then I just take some of the sequins that came in this kit, because again, everything but the kitchen sink, and I go with a couple of gold embellishments. I think that they are very different than anything that I've been using thus far, and they definitely complement this card very, very well. I use my Hero Arts clear lacquer pen just to adhere that down to this card, and once I am done with that, that finishes off this card. For my next card, I decided that I really wanted to use this this pattern paper. This was one of my favorite ones from this kit. I don't know, there were some in this kit that I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna work it, and then there were other ones that I was like, I'm okay with this. So for this one, I really wanted to use this shimmery pink paper to go along with these skulls, and I kind of wanted to use that cat from before because I hadn't used him. I go into the cutouts and I take out this little Batgirl, and I also take out that little cat from before, and I kind of want to make him or her look like she is reading a little book, like a little spell book. But then after doing all of that, I really hated how this whole panel looked, especially because I really wanted to adhere it down to a black card base. So I decided to take everything apart and just kind of make a new little panel using that gray shimmer paper instead. Y'all know how much I love gray. Like, there was no way I was gonna make a card and not have some gray on it. So once I do this, I feel a lot happier about the outcome of my card. Honestly, it looks so much better. And for my sentiment on this card, I decided to go with Peekaboo because it kind of, I don't know. She might be trying to scare the cat, or she's just trying to, like, you know, live her best life. So peekaboo it is. From my stash, I took out some glitter washi tape, and then I raised up that gray panel up so that way you can see some of that washi tape. To get all of this kind of evened out, I decided to go into my stash and pull out some Ebony Nuvo drops and just give this a little bit more bedazzle, razzle dazzle, and that finished off this card. She is so cute. For my next card, I had a bunch of those little peel sticker thingy majiggers lying around. Seriously, please don't quote me on any of my vocabulary words here. I clearly need to learn the name of products a lot better. This is how you know these videos are not advertised or, you know, anything like that, because, honey, my boss would be firing me right now. But anyway, I had a lot of these little sticker peel-offs that were super metallic in nature, and I really wanted to use them. I didn't want them to go to waste, so I really kind of wanted to take one of these little strips, one of these pattern paper strips, and just kind of bedazzle it. After a while, this became very tedious, so I just kind of stopped it halfway. I'm then going to take two of the little cutouts that came in this kit. They are like two little demon girls, and I kind of was having like the Shining vibes from this, so I wanted to adhere them down onto this card base and kind of have a Shining moment. We all know that one moment, right? The one in the hall where the girls are like holding hands and it's like super creepy. Anyway, I really like this card base paper, this paper, but I felt like the girls were just getting kind of lost in the background, so I adhere them down to another piece of like gray shimmer paper, and I just give them a nice little fussy cutted edge, and then I just adhere those down to my panel. I was a lot happier about how they ended up turning out. I am using some Scotch tape to do that, but yeah, I'm very much happier with my choices afterward. After I do this, I just adhere the entire panel down to a gray card base, and then I just trim off any of the excess that is just looming over. I had this pitchfork because it came with the set. I think this was one of the cutouts, and I couldn't figure out exactly kind of what I wanted to do or where I wanted to place it. Ultimately, I figured that the best way to showcase that sentiment and the little pitchfork would be to make like a little banner at the top, and then just raise it up with some Scotch foam tape, and then cut off any of the excess. Then I could adhere the candy y'all, and I could easily then hide that pitchfork behind the banner or behind the sentiment, and it would look totally like fetch. I'm trying to make fetch happen. It is what it is. But yeah, once I was done with that, I just used a couple of the Nuvo embellishments in Ebony Black and the Nuvo drops that came in this kit, and that ended up finishing my Red Rum inspired card. Sorry, the Shining inspired card. For my last card, I realized I, had run out of all my die cuts. I was really trying to make this easy on me, if you like haven't noticed, and I knew that I wanted to stamp down at least one of the images. This is my first Love from Lizi kit, so of course I wanted to try out what her stamp sets were like, you know, how the polymer fell, and if it was strong enough, or if it was like, you know, something not high quality. I don't know why I'm so shady sometimes, but anyway, I used a piece of scrap paper and that same cobweb stencil, and I just go over it with some shaded lilac, some Seedless Preserves, and some black soot, going from lightest to darkest like I had been doing this entire time. And I really like the way that this came out, although I have to admit I was kind of like, I feel like I've done this a lot, and I think by this time I was kind of running out of ideas. To be honest, what I was going to do is I was going to present a blank card and just be like, this is card number 10, y'all. It's a ghost card. I know you can't see it, but it's there. Like a ghost. But, you know, decided that that would be very, very corny, so I just pulled out a card from out of nowhere. And this was kind of what I came up with. So, after I'm done just, you know, distress inking up this background, I decide that I want to use the word spooky because I do have just enough of those die cuts to kind of like make a little bit of an embellishment around that. So I take out my Simon Says stamp, and embossing powder, not embossing powder, clear ink, and then I used some of the Hero Arts Puffy embossing powder, and that really raised up the spooky a little bit more to make it seem a little bit more spooky. I also did this on a piece of vellum just so that way I can have that translucent sort of like look. I was definitely inspired by the idea of fooling you guys into thinking there was a ghost card on my 10 cards 1 kit sort of thing, but I didn't do it. But the vellum kind of is that homage to that idea, so that's what that is. I take some of those little die cuts and I put them around my spooky sentiment, and then I take some of those peel-offs just to make a border around my distressed inked background. And after I was done doing that, I'd done this a couple of times, but I just couldn't get over how cute those little things were. I take out my Nuvo drops and I start making a little circular sort of embellishment around the word spooky, kind of following the shape of the actual cobwebs. And I actually really liked how this turned out. This was probably a simpler card, but it was still very, very, very cute. After I did this, I am very much finished with this card. Thank you guys so much for watching day 2 of my Witchtionary's 13 Crafty Nights, and I hope that you enjoy and stick around and come again.